ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the last, presumably the last. Travis told you I forgot what show it is because I am in pure vacation mode right now. I'm not gonna lie. Oh my goodness, my camera. I changed my camera. It's like really low right now, so can I make my chair lower? There we go. I guess, but now my knees feel weird. Who knows and everything like that. But anyway, so this is not the chair's going back. It's going back up. I'm still in my PJs. Yes, this is the last. Travis told you for December, for the 2022, whatever it may be. I'm not on podcasting mode. I have not podcasted, since last Thursday, which I know people might, like for some people, it's a weekly thing, but for me, it's, I don't say daily, but every second day. That's what it really feels like, and most of the time it is, because lots of times if it's not live on the feed, we're still recording stuff that's going to get released later, especially next year, man. A couple more days, 4 more days, we're going to release that Slate. I think that we're recording our last GeekVerse podcast on the Thursday, so I think we may reveal the Slate then. So if you're watching live, you'll get a little taste of it and stuff like that. Patrons, you'll get a little taste of it, of course, early and everything like that. So we're really excited about talking about as far as recording things earlier and everything. Yeah, we got a lot of that happening next year. But yeah, unless everything can happen, can we get PJs for the applause for the PJs? Oh my goodness, Derby says, chat, can we get applause for the Christmas PJs? Absolutely. Well, thank you very much. Yeah, I got some nice Star Wars ones right now. I think I wore these ones last week. Don't worry, they've been washed. I washed all my ones. I got Grinch ones. I got no ones. There's another ones. We get them. It was a couple years ago. We did the classic, just like memeable family. We all get the same PJs, right? But it's fun. It's good for photos. It's a good time. And these ones are my favorite. These are nice and comfy. They're loose because like Christmas PJs, man, it's just like talking about last year. I told you when I talk about like my size and with large, there's so many companies where it's like large is like it's either too big or it's not an actual large, and then you look at the measurements, you go, this is large. Christmas PJs, man, it's been like they can be tight. And definitely some I've had some poundage on, but even then it's like I'll buy for my exact size, look at the measurements, go, oh, this is great. It's like, and it's just like, oh my goodness, if you're shaped, that's great. But honestly, even if you're not in shape, if you're eating a bunch of stuff Christmas box day, it's just like, yeah, you're busting out of the seams. But these are some nice comfy ones and stuff like that. So as Bob says, been meaning to finish up my 2020 movies, but my dad has just been watching Ram movies with me. Saw Unbreakable yesterday, pretty good movie. Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. That hopefully we didn't retro them. I think we kind of missed. Well, I don't think we missed our window. I think one day we'll do Shyamalan and probably go through all of them. I don't think for the Knock at the Cabin because we already got some planned. But I'd like to, because there's some really fun ones like Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, Village, because I feel like that's a very mixed one. Happening would be tons of fun. So a Shyamalan one will happen. I've always said this and as always, Travis told you, the first 5-10 minutes it's just us shooting the shit and everything like that, right? So Derby says, my friend and my sister got me Darth Vader shaped coffee mug. Very nice, Derby. I got a nice Thanos one that I like. I like the idea of mugs. I just don't use them as much because not even for kids, just myself, I'm always a water bottle guy because I'm a fucking klutz and I'm always hitting things left and right, and I don't drink coffee. I don't really drink hot chocolate or hot cocoa or anything like that. So I'm not a big mug guy. I like the idea of them, but I want to get more into them. But with Shyamalan and like that idea, eventually I'm not excited because I have fun going through them all, but once we get through all the major franchises, which we have, but we still have some that we have to like check off the list. Like one like we've talked about for years is Rise, like Planet of the Apes, and 1 year we'll do that whenever that film comes out. So there's ones that that we want to get to, but I'll be excited once we've hit every major franchise. And it's like, what next? You get to see one of those next year. Next year we have, I think if you've listened to one GeekVerse cast, we hinted about it. We have a specific, I'll say this, actor or actress that we're gonna do like, I think it's like 10 retros on, and we'll pick 5, and the patrons will pick another 5. So I should do my fan castings now. I'm busy. You can drop them there. I'll try and read them off, Derpy and stuff like that. That'll be later on in the show. Well, and again, as I will promote the first GVPOD, I'm assuming right now, the first GVPOD of the new year is going to be us doing a fantasy draft. A fantasy fan cast draft for the new Justice League. We're going to assume that, hey, for fun, Jim's going to reboots it all. We're going to recast all the Justice League members, and I think plus Green Lantern. So if you haven't seen those before, I should re-release them in the feeds at one point. But we've done a Batman one, a Spider-Man one, we did an X-Men one years ago, and it's our fan cast, but it's the same thing. If I were to say, hey, Oscar Isaac for Moon Knight, like I did, you can't pick them. So it's like kind of that draft element and whatnot. And I think in those, like, I'm the only one. It sucked because Oscar Isaac I got in all those fan drafts. I think I'm the only one that got a point. The other one I was close is I drafted Jonah Hill as the Penguin. And remember, he was talked about being in the Penguin, but he wanted to play Riddler. I'm glad that didn't happen. And I'm glad we got Colin Farrell as Penguin, too. So let's see. The new Knock the Trim shows a lot. It could be misleading, but it seems like a lot, says S Bubs. That's funny because I almost, S Bubs, put it in the notes, but I thought, like, because as people know, like podcaster, you look at what the topics are, and I always try with Geek First ones, we try to get about 4 cutouts, like the main episode, then 3 cutouts and stuff like that. It's just a good number. Sometimes we'll do 5 if it's a packed day and stuff like that, but 4 is like a good, you get your main episode and then 3 smaller topics. And I was like, I don't even know if enough people need to click on that. I don't necessarily need to cover that. It's close enough. So I'm glad I didn't watch it. So that's kind of good. But yeah, I'm excited once we get to the weird retros. Like we're coming on 8 years next August, and that'll be fun when we start really dipping our toes. Like there's still tons we haven't covered and stuff. So the ones next year are going to be, we legitimately have, you're not going to find out this one. We have the 2023 retros plan and we got the 2024 retros plan. We're planned pretty much for the next 2 years. We got that mapped down because we have a new system of recording things where there's going to be days when, again, when you support us on Patreon, things like that, when you go, hey, what does my money go into? We're going to be doing days where we either find a weekend or we all take off a day of work, our daytime jobs, and just record for 6 to 7 hours straight. It's called Mass Recording Day every month. And like I said before, that's what you guys and gals and everyone in between, that's what, when you put money into the podcast, that's what goes towards is the more content. It gives us the time to actually do that because it's hard for, if we take off a day of our day job, obviously that's some income going on that end, right? So we're going to be doing that. It's going to be lots of fun. So I can't wait. What was I gonna say? Yeah, everything else go down. There's gonna be 2 more casts this year, like I said, the GVPOD and then the video game preview for 2023. Those will be fun. So you got 2 more. Like I said, this will probably last. Trust told you if something big breaks the next few days, I might cover it, but it would likely just be on GeekVerse podcast and stuff like that. I still got about I think 6 more days and stuff on vacation, everything. So this has been a very nice vacation. It was perfect that I took the vacation and it's in between the 2 holidays, so it's like an extended one. So I've just been. Tomorrow I'm doing one more last just do nothing day. I feel bad sometimes not doing anything because there's so much I got to do, but like sometimes you just need it. And it's been nice to recharge, just eat. But eventually I'll go to the gym. I'm gonna try and get my podcast room set up, get the new posters. I got multiple new things go up, so eventually I'm gonna get there. But I think one more just kind of full on rest day. Been watching some movies. I'm trying. We'll get in the box office, see Avatar and Babylon, but then it's just like, oh, this person's in town. Oh, we're gonna do this, and we got our Geek First Christmas party. So I might not actually see them till the new year and stuff like that. So that's why I've been for Espos when you're trying to catch up on the movies. I've been a little behind, but we've been watching like other ones. Like we watched Matilda, then we watched that About Fate. Oh my god, I was not a fan of About Fate. That made me mad. That one was a big trigger to me as far as like some of the choices they made in there. I could not stand that movie. So I don't have it like like as the last one and stuff like that. But man, I was disappointed. But I didn't expect much. Emma Roberts, we know what's gonna happen. So this was this. Apparently, the director of Live Free and Die Hard is directing the Anna Armas Ballerina movie. Haven't seen that Die Hard now, but I'm interested to gauge how Ballerina might be. Yeah, that one's like fine. I think it's tough because I haven't done like a marathon. I've seen them all here and there, and I think Die Hard we're gonna be either watching tonight or tomorrow because Emily's never seen it, and she can judge if it's a Christmas movie or not and things like that. I don't think it is, but it's fun. At the end of the day, the debate is just like a fun debate to me. As I've said, some of this Discord with SBUcks because he had watched it, and I said, well, to me, there's differences. There's movies that take place at Christmas, and there's Christmas movies. And people might think I'm blasphemous for saying this, but for me, like Batman Returns, Christmas movie. It's tackling Christmas themes. Christmas is woven deep in there. Where Die Hard, it's just the party. You can make that New Year's, Halloween, St. Patty's, whatever it is. Sure, there's some snow. Sure, there's some decorations. Really, you can change most of it, but she hasn't seen it. It's still like a good time. Like there's still tons of movies I watch around the Christmas season that are not like Christmas movies and stuff like that, right? But that's why you'll never see it ranked in my Christmas Ultimate ranking. But yeah, so I hope to see those movies. We're gonna talk about those movies in the box office section, and yeah, everything you need to know is down below. The video, the audio, where to support us on Patreon, Manscaped. Go over there. I'm sure you're like myself. You've probably been locked in the house for a few days. You've been eating stuff like that. Letting things grow out. Go over GVPOD, Manscaped, get 20% off and free shipping. Get rid of some of that, clean it up, especially if you're single, I'm not gonna say New Year, New You, but you know what? Get out there if you're gonna single, ready to mingle. Even if you're with a partner, like bring in the new year looking good, not like Swamp Thing or something like that, or Man Thing, whatever it may be. So yeah, I think that's everything. It's been a very fun year, and I guess I should say that. Apparently, I got a frog in my throat at the beginning. I should say that in case you don't hear from me again for Trash Told You. Just a big thank you to everyone that has supported the show. Until I was very excited, but I knew Avatar would do well. Until Avatar came out, that the cast we did of the Superman news that Travis told you was the biggest of the month. And I've had I think I've had episodes in the top 5 and stuff like that for Geekverse, but now it's top 2, so that's fine. I hope one time I will, but the fact that I even have the top 2 and it was number 1 for a while, just a big thank you to everyone, because it's like I said, I appreciate. Started this in August, went full time in November as far as weekly, and I really appreciate you guys and gals listening on the feeds, on watching, whatever it may be. Like I said, I appreciate it, because you just, as I said many times, you never know how it's going to go when you're a solo show. People might go, I don't need the. I don't need the bologna without the bread and the lettuce and the mustard. And I don't know why that was a comparison, but I'm happy to be your bologna. And I'm happy. Let's talk about it. So we're talking about a few things today. We're talking about DC. I wanted to do overall because we're doing the fan cast with the Geekverse crew, but and they would fully admit this. If I were to say, "Hey, give me your DCU one Slate," they'd go, "Well, I don't know that much, and I'm gonna just give you some of the characters I already know." So that's why we might talk about them in the reboot, but I want to give you from someone that is, I'd say, easily the biggest fan of Geekverse, the most knowledgeable one on DC, not in the world. There's many, many more, but just my thoughts is reason I'm doing this is because James Gunn says in January. That could be fucking January 1st, where he just drops the bomb. Like, guess what? This is what we're doing. So we're talking what I think is the DCU Phase 1 slate in a way, and I'll explain how I got to that. I got my 5's do's and don'ts. I actually don't know if I got to 5 because I was thinking the whole time about, I guess I did. I was trying to find like a 6 one because 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, because the 5th one is like a generic one I've said before, but maybe in the chat, same thing. If you have any do's and don'ts you don't, and ask Bubsy put on a Patreon, thank you. I'll read that out. And then we'll talk about some Marvel rumors, because my time to shine has been popping off. There must be some storyboards being made, because that's the running theory right now, that they're a storyboard artist or they work with the storyboards. That's why they get them in these mass dumps, because some of them come in and stuff. And talking about Deadpool 3, Captain America 4, Eternals 2, some things I like, some things I don't like. We'll get to it. So let's get to the first one, the DCU slate. So what I took here is they have a 4-year deal, right? And that started this year. And I don't know if that, like, how long it runs exactly, if it's exact, but I'm going to say this takes us to 2026, 27-ish, right? So about 4 years, like their deals. And I think there is a good idea that they could go forward past that, right? But let's just say it is the 4 years, stuff like that. So I will kind of go with my picks, and I'll kind of explain why I think they are going to do what they do. So I think I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I have 7 projects. I tried to my best keep it in like an MCU sort of style, like what they did for the Phase 1. Oh, sorry, I suppose I missed my 2023 goals to watch every single Tarantino Robert Rodriguez movie. That's a big blank spot in my film knowledge. There's 41 in total. Only one I've seen is Spy Kids. Only one you've seen out of all the mess bubs, like even Tarantino. Oh my god, that's gonna be fun to watch your letterbox. Rodriguez, I don't think I've seen everything he did. I think I've seen the majority, but it's his newer stuff that I'm more lacking on, like Alita Battle Angel. It just never looked interest to me. I never had a connection to the anime or whatever it was, the manga. I don't know which one it was. Don't get mad at me. I just know it had a fan base. So his newer stuff I haven't. I don't know the last one of his ones I kind of stopped seeing him all, but Tarantino I have. There's only 9, 10. If you want to, he doesn't count Kill Bill 1 and 2 as 2 films, but they kind of are. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be interesting. I don't know what are you gonna do? You doing chronological? You gonna go back and forth? I don't know. So have fun with that one. There's some gems there. Tarantino, he's a memeable guy. There's some weird stuff about him, and maybe not always has the best things. Not a single Tarantino movie. Wow, S-Bubs. That's going to be fun. But he's easily, like anybody else, they got some flaws. And I think what I like about him is, before we get to the DCU stuff, is there's times where if he is wrong or gets called in the shit, he'll call himself out. As far as even the Weinstein stuff, it's like, he was friends with them, and he had an idea. He didn't know it was that bad, but then he also said that was fucking on me to be like, I should have put two and two together, and I'm partially blaming that. Same thing when the stuff happened with Uma Thurman, that car accident that came out later on. He was like, at the time, I thought it was a good idea, thought it was going to be fine, thought it was way more for film for her to be in the car. I fucked up, and they apologized, and clearly they've talked about being friends again. They've put it on in film. People fuck up, and I think he's one of those guys I like, at least that he's pretty straight shooter, and he's very bullheaded. If he has a point, he's gonna just stick to it. And even then, I like where he's kind of like, yeah, I'm not really a big comic book fan. I get why they're big and stuff like that, but like he doesn't even say like Martin Scorsese is too hard on him. He's just like, what do you expect? Like I feel like, and we've never really talked about the Marvel star thing either and everything like that. So Tarantino, he's an interesting cat. He's definitely, I put him at number, it's tough if I'd have to say number two because it's hard for me not to put Nolan at number one. I have so many films, but same thing. I think I'm making my top 25 right now because in our Discord we're doing top 10s, and I had made one years ago, but there have been so many new films where I really need to redo this. And it's tough. It's tough. Like Shame is one of my favorite films. I love having it in there because I feel like no one else has that. It's personal to me. And it's like, I don't know if I can have it in there anymore. Right. But I think Tarantino and Nolan both have about 3 films in my top 25. So I don't know. That's tough to say what my favorite is. I would just probably still de facto to Nolan because of Dark Knight, but still, my top 3 is always Nolan, Tarantino, Scorsese. That's the 3 and stuff. So have fun with that. Yeah, you've made a list. Both first feature length films are from 1992. Well, there you go. That's gonna be fun. So, and hey, when you listen to them, YouTube, whatever, there is a bunch of retros we did. We retroed every Tarantino one, not Rodriguez. But anyways, back to, well, you know what? Sorry, very poorly timed water break. Let's take our first ad break, and then we can get right into the slate and the idea, and then no breaks in between. So we'll be right back. Oh. And we're back. I need to get another table because like it looks weird. Anyone that's watching, I'm just like leaning down like this, they tune in like, what the fuck's this guy doing? I have my bigger table there. I thought about bringing it back because I don't know. The bigger table, it's nice, but at the same time, like this little one, it's nice compact because it's just right here. I don't know. I gotta think about it. So I still gotta sell some of these chairs. Anyway, so the DCU site I had in mind of doing MCU-ish, trying to keep it that number, trying to keep that length, which luckily that was in a 4-year span as well, 2008 to 2012. So it's kind of similar that way. So I have an order of what I want to do, and I tried to do a little mix of unknowns, knowns, stuff like that, and one TV show. I think in the day and age we're in, because I have 7 projects, I think in the MCU it was 6, because it was Iron Man, Iron Man 2, Hulk, Thor, Cap, Avengers. Yeah, so I think there's, in this day and age, they'll be expected to release more. I think it would be more 2 a year, but we're already into 2023. There's nothing going yet. You got Batman and Joker, and they're in a weird stance where those are already coming out. So you can kind of say, well, technically DC has 2 films coming out. Let's say Superman comes out 04 or 24, right? You say, well, we got Joker 2 and Superman's like, yeah, I don't know. So I'm not counting those in the slate and stuff like that. So that was my concept of, okay, from 2024, there might be some years that have more films than other, but I thought 7 was a good number. And one of them's a show. So really I'm keeping to the 6 and stuff like that. And I guess I'll just start with the show and saying that I'm keeping, and this ties with some of the news, right? I'm keeping with the Green Lantern show. So the Green Lantern show, that was an anthology show that was been in development hell for years, right? This week, or just a couple days ago, there was a report put out that it's been scrapped, everything like that. James Gunn has different plans for the Green Lantern Corps and whatnot. And this time was supposed to be a Jon Stewart show. I think it was one of the showrunners or writers. I don't know. So I apologize for not doing my homework there. But someone connected to the show came and said, no, that is false. It's still happening yet. And then James Gunn quote tweet said fake. And I know people are like, what's he saying? It's fake. Blah, blah, blah. Like, I think the main headline is the show being scrapped. He's saying that's fake. So I don't know if that's because it's too far along. I don't know if he wants to see it out. I don't know if that's hey, it's an Elseworld. That's cool. Let it fly. To me, I think he had not. I know we all know this. He had said, "Hey, we're going to be doing, it's bold. We're going to be doing the MCU thing. They don't do video games, but we're going to do video games, TV shows, and movies all connected, right?" if there's a Jon Stewart show already in the works, and let's say he likes it or he likes the crew and whatnot, if there's a way to mold that and get that into the new DCU, I think that might be the route. So that's why I'm keeping this as a Jon Stewart Green Lantern show that's going to have him there and then transition into, and I guess I can say that Justice League. I'll get to that in a bit, but Justice League to me is the last of this, very much like Avengers. But that's the idea where I want some of the heroes of Justice League to get a I guess I should just talk about Justice League now because that might makes more sense, and I'll lead into like what I've laid out here. But I wanted with my Justice League film, I know Superman's happening. I had this weird balance of okay, I looked at the members, even the members we got now, right? At Flash, I legitimately believe they'd step away from Flash for a little bit once the film happens, and this all goes into I don't know what's gonna happen next year with Aquaman, Flash. Maybe it beats Avatar in 2 days, and everyone loves Flash. Not gonna happen, but still, maybe there's a chance that Ezra sticks around, Jason, whatever it may be. But I'm keeping this on the under the oppression of we're gonna get a full reboot for this slate and stuff. After, especially next year, maybe we'll twist around and change some things, and we'll probably do a part 2 of this cast and something like that. It's always good to revisit when you get new information, right? But I'm saying, let's say they reboot it. I think Flash they'd stay away from. Cyborg, same thing, they'd stay away from. I think he'll eventually get recast. They're not bringing Ray Fisher back for sure because he's just trouble now. But again, you don't need him. I think they'd almost put him more of the Teen Titans this time. Okay. So Flash, they wait around. I know some people might go, oh, would they, if it's a full reboot, it won't matter. No, but at the same time, I don't think you want to have the exact same Justice League, right? Just recast with the, same characters, same lineup, but new actors. I think you want to make it your own a little bit, right? So that's why I'd say Flash is out for a while. You could have a Wally, but nah, just get rid of him, bring him back later, stuff like that. So Flash out, Cyborg to Teen Titans, Superman. Obviously, that's already my one. That's my bingo card, right? First film on my slate, Superman 2024. We'll do the fan casting next week. So boom, that's done. So that's so far 3 out of my 7. Justice League, the film, I'm gonna get more into that. Superman, that's already done, and it's the starter, and then a Green Lantern series with Jon Stewart. You got Justice League at the end there, so you got Superman, he's already getting the film. To me, Batman, and I've said this before, Batman and Wonder Woman, and maybe Aquaman. Aquaman's another one I could see you sitting out, but let's say it's those 3. Those are the ones they debut here. I've said this before where I think Batman, they wait till a little longer, at least till Reeves's 3rd Batman to do a solo Batman film. I could be wrong, but that's what I think they wait for. Wonder Woman, I think it's weird because I was making a slate at one point. I was like, okay, you do Superman, do some stuff there, then you do Wonder Woman, you do Justice League. I was pretty much just doing the very first, like, the phase of the Snyderverse, pretty much, right? So I was like, no, I don't want to do that. And I think that kind of helps make Justice League a bit bigger. Hey, you're going to see these big members for the first time on screen in Justice League, where some of these smaller characters, Jon Stewart, smaller by definition of the GA, right? Jon Stewart, some other members I'll have on the team I'll talk about. Superman is not smaller, but I think it's just he hasn't had a solo since Man of Steel. Zazov's been pitching him. Zazov is a big fan, and lots of people, right? And Superman should be maybe on a bigger scale. That to me makes sense of, okay, sure, it's weird you're almost starting the new slate again, almost like Man of Steel with him, but sure, that'll work. I'm trying to think, did I miss any new members? So Batman's coming later. Yeah, and Diana, I just thought debut in this film, same thing as Arthur. If he's in this film, debut in this one. Because to me, my members that I've kicked out so far are Flash and Cyborg. Aquaman to me is a potential kick. You don't have to, but if you could kick him, sure, do that. So that's why those characters I'd say debut here. I know that happened with Aquaman already, so that's why I'd say kick him. Wonder Woman, Batman, no, and those are 2 heavy hitters to see. The first time you're going to see someone play Batman is in this Justice League film. Same thing with Wonder Woman, right? Almost takes a little pressure off them too. It's a lot to introduce, but that's why to me, if I have about 6 members in my Justice League, you've introduced 3 of them already through different things, so you kind of have half and half. Again, Justice League kind of did that the first go around, but I just don't foresee there being in the next 4 years, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman solo films, let alone the rest of them. I just don't see them going that route. It's my opinion, again, would change if they say, no, we're keeping Gal, we're going to do Wonder Woman 3, just a different iteration. Then I'd say, okay, obviously it's completely different, right? But again, this is my slate under the guise of a full reboot. So we got Justice League, that's at the end. Superman's at the beginning, and Green Lantern can kind of be wherever, right? But I say they somehow make that connect. Uh, well, we'll say maybe my favorite one till the end. Talking about Batman and Joker, this is a easy pick. People might call me out for it, but it's fine. All I said was one Elseworld. I'm not being specific because I don't know what that would be, and honestly, it could just be something like Constantine 2. Like that's to me my, another bingo. Like Constantine 2, boom, right there. Who knows if it's actually happening? Who knows if Guns allows it now? But I think it'll be something like that where my hope is he is still going to allow these films, like he said, like my hope is he's not just when he said an active development, he's not just talking about the Batman 2 and Joker 2. I hope it's they have ideas, whatever it may be, even if it's fucking Plastic Man, sure. But I think in these 4 years, whether it's a show or movie, I'm thinking movie, you will get a new Elseworlds produced by Safran and Gunn on its own. And that's where I think it could be Constantine 2. I don't think it's anything like Red Sun or Batman by Gaslight or something like that, but that'd be great. Whatever it may be, even if it was just, hey, we're doing an animated Snyderverse film, stuff like that. Like, I think there would be one in the next 4 years that is completely out of continuity to show that it works. And again, it has worked. The Batman, Joker, there's a proven track record twice now of this working outside of continuity, right? So I think Gunn would like to do that again and show, hey, I could do that. That could even be, let's say they do a hard reboot, but he says, well, no, what we really want to close up Harley's story, so we're going to do Harley and Ivy. If it was like again, something a part of the Snyderverse, the Harleyverse, whatever it may be, great. Like, I'm all completely about that. We'll talk about that in Babylon, because I feel like some people feel like that Margot Robbie Harley Quinn film is like lesser now as far as chances go. Oof, not a good weekend. So one Elseworld that could be sprinkled wherever. I think not right before Justice League, not to confuse people. I think there's two routes. Either you do it like in the first half of the 4 years, or you do it after Justice League, and you just say, hey, fuck it, like we'll do this big one, then we got something else, so people don't get confused on the lead up to Justice League, right? So one Elseworld. This is maybe a mulligan, but I feel like it's been hinted about. It's been rumored before he took over DC. It's been rumored that character was supposed to feature in Peacemaker or a second season of Peacemaker. He's friends with the actor, and they've talked about it again recently. As someone's like, hey, do you have any plans for this character? And they said, could be Deathstroke. I think that, again, I would love it if Ben were to direct the DCU Batman. That'd be lots of fun. If he wasn't starring it, that'd be tons of fun. See a script, rework it, stuff like that. But maybe that doesn't happen. But Ben Affleck's a comic book fan, so I was going to say he did his homework, but still, he probably did his homework. He's a comic book fan. I think he knows enough and would like the character of Deathstroke enough to direct that film well. He clearly likes the character, or likes the I don't know, the lineage of that character, the lore of that character, how that character functions, as he was going to put him as main antagonist in a Batman. And he's not even a Batman villain. He's kind of getting reworked now as a Batman villain this like past decade and a half. He was really more a Teen Titans villain, but still, he was going to use him in his solo Batman film. That's a big deal, right? So to me, that would be a perfect fit of, you got some crime in there, similar. He didn't direct that what's that Gavin O'Connor one he directed where I think he's on the spectrum, but he's assassin, whatever it may be. Someone will tell me in the chat. I just think that would fit in his realm. I think that would work for him. And it's a smaller deal. It's not so much of, you got to direct the 300 million Justice League film. Don't fuck up. Like, of course, I imagine there's any pressure on these, but I want what one thing that Walter Hamada and that era did do right is, and it's arguable because some of the box office returns, but you look at something like Birds of Prey, which I love. Smaller box office. So it did find the box office. I think it broke even or just like made a little profit, right? You know what? And it wasn't a big hit. No, it wasn't a bomb, but it was a disappointment. It wasn't a big hit. But the good thing is, with it having lower budget, same thing as Shazam, you don't eat it as much as you do. So then if something is a big hit and it's a lower budget, perfect. Something like a Deathstroke movie. I combine movie and film. Put that at like a 50 to 100 million budget, somewhere in there, even lower, like a 75. Make it work as a hard action film, sprinkle with some DCU stuff, but let Ben just fucking go to town and work, get Joe back and go. That's good. Now, it's one of these things where the only reason I don't know about this one, and one of my other ones as well, is so far everything but the Elseworld is it fits in, right? Deathstroke, I'm not sure how you could. I at one point thought, and this is where, because we're going to talk about my 5 do's and don'ts for James Gunn. I thought about putting Teen Titans in the middle here, like putting it between now and Justice League, but I thought, no, I don't want to do that yet. So I don't know what the Deathstroke thing would function as. This could literally also be the Elseworld thing. So maybe I'm kind of cheating here and that could be the twofer, but I just think that could work. I'm not sure what they would do. Maybe they could do a weird scenario where Deathstroke gets set up first and then you lead him into Teen Titans. I don't know, but I just think, like, what else is Ben gonna direct? If it's not Batman, I don't see it. Some people, it's Superman. I don't see it that. I think it's either Batman because he's passionate with the character, or something smaller, something that he can have fun with. I imagine if they were to say, "Hey, look what Reeves did with the Batman. Look at what Phillips is doing Joker. You want to do something like that? You want to take a fucking character and just go hard with them and do whatever you please?" Deathstroke's a perfect landscape for that. So that's kind of my pick. Could be in the DCU, could be the Elseworld. So then it is. If it is, then I'm down to the 6 films and I kind of hit my spot anyways. Even though, like I said, I think we could get multiple of them and stuff like that. Emrys Pickens, happy holidays, everyone. Glad I met you guys this year. You're all awesome. Thank you very much, Pickens. Thank you, especially the first run of Travis told you. You're always there for me when we were doing the wrestling segment. So we'll do more wrestling again soon. I've been watching it, but I feel like all my Travis told you have been kind of past the big news, but we got Royal Rumble come up, we got Mania and stuff like that. So I'll be like deep into the WrestleMania. There'll probably be some solo just wrestling show reviews, so look out for that. So SPUB says, because of Birds of Prey, DC now needs to watch out for the Sonic Suite. Enough of the Sonic Suite. You're gonna sound like Clay, who we're gonna get the Avatar. I'm sorry, Clay. I think this might have been the foolish thing you ever done, and everyone could agree. Everyone can tweet at Clay, fanboy Clay, right now. We have this server in the Discord called the Pizza Bet server, or channel, whatever you may be. I'm a Discord newbie. And you make pizza bets where it's a simple, like, I bet you this, I bet you that. One thing we did, I said that in the next 5 years, Toby and Andrew will appear in live action. And Clay said no. So if they do, I get a pizza, large pizza. Like, I buy him a large pizza, or he buys me a large pizza and vice versa, right? He bet me that Sonic 3, because right now Sonic 3 and Avatar are releasing the same day. He bet me that Avatar 3 and Sonic 3, when they come out, Sonic 3 is going to have a bigger box office. Avatar is about to pass billion as we speak today, in just over a week. I'm looking forward to my large pizza in 2024, Clay. Gonna get every toppings. No, we should set a price limit, but still, a large pizza. I feel like a large topping with a large pizza with 2 toppings is a good price limit. But anyway, so fuck this. So Sonic Swoop's gonna get snubbed out by the Na'vi. Anyways. So sorry, I should always say water break, so you guys don't know. You're like, what happened? My podcast app? So Deathstroke. So right now I got Superman, Deathstroke, an Elseworld, Green Lantern series, and Justice League. Now here's something where, again, I don't know. I'm like cheating a little here, and this is where because I don't think it would be 6 to 7 films. I think it would be more, and maybe they would somehow make this work, or maybe one member would jump over. But I think, and again, maybe I'm cheating again. Maybe it's an Elseworld. Maybe I fucked up. But to me, in my realm, if I have my Justice League as Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, who else would be there? Jon Stewart, and then I guess I didn't really get my. The other one would just be like Flash, Rockman, 6-1. Don't want to tell you yet. That's secret, so just hang on for that. Because that's gonna become a film. I have that base all covered, right? So I thought, well, if I have 3 people debuting in that film, and then I have 3 people elsewhere, you can do some stuff. I think you do the biggest just mic drop thing James Gunn can do. And this is going to go into the next segment as well. So it's kind of a conjoined segment here, but still, you come out, New Year, I don't know. I don't even know how. I was going to make a bunch of hints, but it would be so obvious. There's a canceled project that I feel like when everyone hears it, they go, fuck, that would have been great. We've seen concept art of it. One of the best working filmmakers to date. Don't know what he's working on next and stuff like that, but I know what he was working on this year, and I loved his show. A lot of mini stories. Not everyone worked the anthology show, but that's what happens. But then he maybe gave me my favorite adaptation of Pinocchio, and that's Guillermo del Toro. Drop the mic, show the big DC cock, and just come out and say, hey, almost happened, didn't happen. That was a mistake. We're going to let Guillermo del Toro do Justice League Dark. It might not even play into it. To me, I consider this like I know it's phase 1 and this happened in phase 2, but still, the way Guardians of the Galaxy it furthered the story of the MCU, but it really was its mostly own thing. That's how I would do this. And again, maybe this would go something for Justice League 2 or even a villain in Justice League. Maybe it alludes to that. The same way Thanos was in Guardians alluded to what was coming, right? I think that's a huge power play move. If you get Guillermo del Toro doing Justice League Dark, and in my opinion, they retitle it. It's not Justice League Dark. I don't think that shit works in mainstream movies and stuff like that. Young Avengers, New Avengers, no. Just like Champions for Young Avengers, great. Justice League Dark, find something. I think they've been called other things before, but do whatever, figure that out and go. And let Guillermo go. I don't know why they wouldn't. Like, this guy's been on a roll. Before I not kind of got it, but it's like, okay, like with Hellboy didn't have the greatest success, and he has like a a spotty track record with box office, like something like Crimson Tide and stuff like that. Or is it Crimson Tide? No, I'm Crimson Peak. Great movie with Tom Hiddleston, Mia Wachowski, and Jessica Chastain, who we'll talk about later. But I feel like Shape the Water won best director and best picture. Pinocchio's great. I feel like just lately, what was oh man, there. I guess last year that movie kind of ate dirt. I actually still never saw it, the Bradley Cooper Circus one, and I want to. It's on Disney Plus. I should probably watch that in the new year because I still got to be S Bubs. I think I got a couple films on you and stuff like that, right? But anyway, so I think his stock has raised. He's even a bigger name than he was back then. Do it. That would be a huge. If you were to do, that's one you say for Comic-Con. You fucking Comic-Con. I'm getting goosebumps. You bring out Guillermo del Toro to do Justice League Dark. My goodness, like that's something that I think should happen. I think Justice League Dark in general is going to happen, and that's why I had it here. I specifically has Guillermo's, I suppose James Gunn's Guillermo del Toro's Justice League Dark. Yeah, and poor Saffron. It's not his, but I have that as I think. Justice League Dark in general would happen. People talk about Scott Derrickson, sure, but Guillermo's the dream choice. But the film in general, that's what I think is going to happen. Get Zatanna in there, get Deadman there, and Constantine. And this is a way where I hope that they. I guess it depends how they're working it, right? But in my perfect world, that maybe I swap them and I go, Deathstroke is the Elseworld, and you take Constantine, put that in the new DCU, make that him Constantine, and transition that into him being Constantine in the Justice League Dark. Because, fuck, it's Keanu Reeves. Get him in a team up. That'll be tons of fun. So I think there's tons of potential there. So that's my last one there. Well, not last one, second last one. Now my last one. So like I said, my Justice League right now: Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman. Now I'm forgetting all them. Oh, John Stewart's Green Lantern. Whoever you want for the fifth one: Aquaman, Flash. Maybe I guess I wouldn't go a new character. I guess you could do Cyborg, someone established, maybe someone from Justice League Dark, sure. But then the sixth one, who James Gunn said that he's taking a lot of inspiration from Justice League Unlimited, from Young Justice. And there's a member on that team in Young Justice, in the Justice League, that I would think would be a perfect fit here. That would be Black Canary. But it's the twofer where the film is Hawkeye and Black Canary, or Black Canary and Hawkeye. Oh no, I did a misspoke. Green Arrow. Oh, I did the Floridian slip. Oh man, I gotta take a drink break. Ooh, someone's gonna take my DC card now. So I'm pitching Green Arrow and Black Canary, or Black Canary and Green Arrow. Damn, that's funny that it happened. I wasn't even memeing. I should have played it into me, but you know what? Fuck, it happens. They're both Arrow guys. They like to quip and stuff like that, right? So that's my pitch, where she would be on the team. He's like a maybe. It doesn't have to. I don't think he would be. The Floridian slip. Yeah, exactly. I just missed that. Yeah, 100%. All on me. Travis told you wrong right there. But I want Justice League to have more than just Diana. And I thought about having Hawkgirl as far as like Justice League Unlimited. That's what I grew up with, and that'd be fun to have that dynamic of Hawkgirl and Green Lantern and John Stewart and stuff like that, because I had them both on the team. But I think obviously you might have to wait a little bit because they just did this with Black Adam. I think the Hawkman, Hawkgirl story should be told on its own before she transitions. I think or you could do that for a sequel. They are like a sequel one. She should be on the team. I don't think we should have a Justice League. And even if you get more members, like I said, maybe you pull Zatanna from Justice League Dark and she jumps over, whatever it may be. I think if it's just 5 to 6 dudes and Diana, it's like, okay. And I get that's the original classic lineup. Guess what? You got it. You got it in 2017. You got it in 2021. There's multiple films, comics. You're good to like animated films. You're good to go. Give us something a little bit different. And I think that would be a good variation as well, too, than just having same thing as Black Widow, just one girl. Just like it just feels like it's the whiteboard of like, okay, you got one diverse character, one female character. Like, no, let's not do that. So I think Canary would be a great choice, but then I think a two-hander between Canary and Hawkeye would, or no, Canary and Green Arrow would be great. Sorry, I guess I'm a Hawkeye guy. I am because like I like them both a lot, but I fucking love that Hawkeye combo costume. But anyways, a two-hander between them. Not sure what story you would do, not sure what director you would get, but somebody that almost in like the Kathy Yan sort of sense, like that style of Birds of Prey, I would love. And I'm not saying that just because Canary was in it, but if it was her and Green Arrow together in that sort of sense, Green Arrow played by Austin Butler. If he's gonna not be Gambit, let's make him that. I think something like that. And I think you either go two ways. Either it's a like do like a not a romantic comedy, but a romantic sort of Mr. and Mrs. Smith sort of vibe, and either make it that they are apart and don't make it a like in the midway they fall in love and they kiss. Like either make it the whole film that it's just them on adventure getting to know each other, and do the Iron Man thing where they don't even kiss, but you know something's there, and we'll pick up on that later. But that's what I love about Iron Man, that they held back and they didn't do a kiss between Tony and Pepper. Do that, or the reverse where you just have Green Arrow and Black Canary together and they're just fucking. They're a couple, they're getting it on like the panels, they're just going at and they're just completely in love. Either way, and I would love that just to have a two-hander like that of two heroes in love. I think they'd want to do the meet cute of they're both meeting each other for the first time and stuff, because sure we had Green Arrow show, but the movie, many people haven't seen that, right? So that's where I think go that route. So that's my slate: Superman, Deathstroke, Justice League Dark, Green Canary. I'm screwing his name. All Green Arrow and Canary. Rolls off the tongue when you say it. That Green Lantern series with Jon Stewart, One Elseworld, Justice League, and A Partridge on a Pear Tree. So that is my slate for the first one. Now I'm going to get into my do's and don'ts after this next ad break. So I'm going to take a drink and we're going to talk about what I think is pivotal and not pivotal to do, and kind of a back and forth, two sides of each coin. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So I'm going to lead off with, I'm again doing this in the sense of, hey, this is a full on reboot. And this is where it's kind of my cheat. So I'm happy about, did you even watch Arrow? Yeah, I watched Arrow, Hines. Of course, I watched Arrow up until Damien Dark, I think, is about the time I checked out, I think. And I think I checked out watching it like weekly, and then I think I maybe binged that season and I started again, but I didn't. But no, I loved some of those seasons of Arrow. I hated the flashbacks. I think season 1 and 2, they were vital. It made sense. Once we got rid of Deathstroke, we should have stopped going back so much, because then it just started adding. It's that thing where you have a lore and a canon, but then it's like, oh, but really, in between 5 p.m. and 6 p.m., this other story beat happened. I was like, oh man, that was the Green Canary slip. Oh, that was for the Green Canary slip. Oh, that's fair enough. But I liked Arrow. I think Amel was great, and I think obviously it probably went on for too long. It's tough. It's like an MCU thing where you want the story to keep going, but you have this character bounce. I think you and I have talked about this, that like the biggest screw up that they had was like Crisis and that finale. It was not a good send off for that character, and that's where, if it was, it would have made me catch up. But I think they really fumbled with that one, and I'm just a became a general audience, or I'd say a part-time watcher that time, right? Where I feel like even people like yourself, Hines, and Brent kind of go, yeah, that wasn't their strongest moments. And that crossover did the reverse, where the Avengers like blew up and it was like, it made them even bigger. That almost feels like it's not the end, but it kind of felt like the end in Crisis for CW, where it just got smatter after that, and then obviously Ruby Rose thing happened, all these things, right? So, but no, I was a fan. I was a fan of Mel. I don't think he's going to get what he wants. It's like, oh, if we did a film, no, I don't think that's the route to go. And that's why I think for the first one, I'm happy S. Bub shared one, because it's kind of a, Another one on top of that. Anyone in the chat, share. Like I said, this is a mixture of what I want them to do, what I don't want them to do, and this is just purely personal, some business wise. But my first one, as always, it's my easy bingo one. Full reboot. Don't bring anybody back unless you're doing multiverse stuff. I think for two things. One, I think for the fans, us, the people in the bubble, I think that will be a piss off for some people, and it will just feel like the whole kind of nepotism sort of thing. If we've joked about this before, but if it is just Peacemaker and his cast and Margot, but everyone else gets recast, to me as a watcher, that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. If it's still a mix, then fine. If he's like, no, we're keeping Gal, it's like, okay, I still will never understand why we got rid of Henry then. Like, why you couldn't rework the script to be Henry Cavill and just, oh, well, we want him to be, like, no, I think you could have figured that out. So I won't get it, but for me, it's like, you got to go full hard reboot. Hines, you already took my joke, because I was going to say the other thing you don't need is Jared Leto. Don't put him anywhere near the DCU, but he says no forehead tattoos. Absolutely. But yeah, no Jared Leto, none of that. Let's keep the four tattoos. Put him as a tramp stamp. Then I'm gonna see him. Damage down there. Harley be pegging him on International Women's Day. See Damage. That's fine with me. I just don't need it on the forehead. But full reboot. Get rid of it all. Get rid of everything. Wait for Kingdom Come. Do a multiverse film. Then bring all back. Cool. Great. Or if you want to do an Elseworld, that's completely fine. Like I said, animated Snyderverse, Harley Quinn, Ivy, or like Elseworld, all good. But if it's your main continuity, get rid of it all. So I'll go to next X-Bubs. That's what you can change your name to, X-Bubs, when X-Men comes on the MCU. But I'll go to yours because it's similar to one that I have as far as these do's and don'ts. So he said, in terms of the slate, what I don't, in capitalization, want is them to release a 10-year plan. Announcing stuff so far ahead leads to disappointment when changes happen. Announce a phase at a time, a 2 to 4 year plan at the very most. And I'm completely in agreement, because one of my do's and don'ts is don't do too much too fast. That's two things. One, story, where I know people are getting mad. Hines don't get mad at me and everything like that. I understand it more now. But at the time, when we thought the Snyderverse was not going to be this 5-film thing, right? That came out later. When it was like, this is the start of the universe. And it went from, Superman and Batman vs. Superman, which some people say that was already too quick. I think there's a way to make Batman vs. Superman work as the second film, because they're meeting their pose. I'm fine with that. The death of Superman was a little like, okay, we're getting this very early on. And again, if it's in a 5-film plan, I can see it. But if it was hey, this was going to go on for 20 years, like Warner Bros. Eventually wanted, yeah, that's maybe a little too early to go for that. Same thing like some of the Batman world building of taking out Robin. It's like, in a 5-film plan, great. In a world building plan, not so much. And I'm the same thing. So for story wise, don't do too much, but also for business and personal wise. And I forgot to say that for the recast, everything. Also, I talked about our bubble for the GA. I just think it gets a little confusing if you have a mixture of the actors, right? Because you go, what's this? Who's that? Sound like Jack Skelton? Who knows? But when that is my worry. Zazoff keeps talking about a 10-year plan, the DC Bible, 10-year plan. Gunn hasn't really. I think he's maybe dropped that once, but I feel like anytime Zazoff talks about it, it is always 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Where Gunn is just more about like, we're figuring it out. And I think I like when he said, hey, in January, a few projects. I don't even need the full slate. If he comes out and says, hey, this is just our plans from 2023 to 2024, I guess because the film's already out, let's say 2024 to half of 2025, that's fine. If it's half slate, great. I'm the same as S-Bubs. Don't be old school Warner Bros. Here's our Cyborg film, here's Flash, Green Lantern Corps, Justice League Part 2. No, you can't be doing that because you stumbled last time, right? Put out these few films, because also, even if there's rumors, whatever. Let's say Superman comes out and it fucking fails. Let's say all the way around, people hate it, box office bomb, it's pulling Babylon numbers and stuff like that. And then you have this Gunn-led DCU. And let's say people are really excited to get Guillermo del Toro's Justice League Dark. And Zazoff goes, you know what, these guys might not be right for the plan. They pull it, change it all. And now you announce that you're doing Justice League Dark with Guillermo, and it's gone now because one film bombed. I'd also hope that that's another don't pull the evac button on one film. Do like MCU. And Hulk didn't do the grace. Move forward with Iron Man 2. Dark World, well, let's figure that out later. Stuff like that. Like, don't pull the eject button so fast. So I guess that should be another one in this list that I didn't have, but it's kind of in this realm, right? So I'm the same way. When he says a few projects, great. That's fine if you want to sprinkle a few. I don't think we need the 10-year plan. I don't even know if we need the 4-year plan. A 2-year plan, fine. Stick with that for now. Less is more. Like, let's get the first few ones under belts, then go forward. So I'm in complete agreement there. And I don't know if they need a Phantom or a Justice League or a Comic-Con, stuff like that, but just take your time, especially in the early days. If we get to year 4 and Gunn and Saffron are rehired and the DCU's just booming, they had Justice League, that's their Avengers, $1 billion film, it's hidden, these characters hidden, then I'd be like 5 years, it's like, okay, he can announce a fucking 5-year slate because look what he did the past 10 years, right? Like, then I understand. Right now, you're in the baby steps. Even then, like the MCU, like we didn't get that slate announcement. It was like, okay, they're doing these movies. Then it was like, that was the phase 1 slate. Phase 2 is when we started to get more into that. Okay, here's what's happening. That El Capitan event, right? Where they announced Chadwick as Black Panther. And that was like, I think, in the middle of the phase 2, because I started getting the phase 3 stuff and everything. So that's when it was just like Avengers 1, Avengers 2, or it was like Avengers 3 part 1 and 2, or Avengers Infinity, I think War part 1 and part 2, whatever it may be, right? Captain America's Serpent Society. That's when I guess it got changed. But yeah, take your time. So that's my number 2 there. I'll leave the last one for me because it's like my personal one there. So yeah, we got the don't do too much too fast, reboot everything. I already talked about it a bit, so that's why, again, this is a thing where it's kind of a cheat and stuff like that, but still works. Keep the Elseworlds. I think that obviously that's going to be dependent on Joker and Batman too, but I feel like those are going to make enough money to justify that. I think this was all the way around. I'm very curious to see what happens with the animated films because they're doing those, right? And it's like, he said they're going to be connected. So does that mean just all animated film are connected? Does that mean this universe that they've started now is going to be killed? I don't know. But animated games, movies, also they do in comics, keep doing the Elseworlds. That's the thing that made me the most excited about Joker 2, because I feel like people eventually got on board. Well, I feel like when it came out, there was a half, but even that 50% people got on board, because I was just like, sure it was because I didn't like Jared Leto, but I just wanted, hey, if Joker hits, we can see more like this. I still don't think we've seen enough, and I don't feel like they've taken enough. They haven't capitalized on it. Marvel has, and I thought they were going to start with What If and everything. MCU, that's their bread and butter, right? They want to stay connected. I guess fine. But with DC, I thought they were really going to jump on the opportunity of, hey, Joker worked. Let's start making shit. Let's start doing a bunch of stuff. And I'm not saying push out 3 films a year, but one every couple of years of an Elseworld tale. And you could say, okay, that was the Batman, but that was a weird way it kind of evolved from Ben's to Matt and Ben to just Reeves and stuff. So it counts, but not really in my mind. Do more of that. Take a character, take a Booster Gold, take a Plastic Man, take a Swamp Thing, take it just whatever I list off. Deathstroke. People want Mr. Freeze, want to do Mr. Freeze, Clayface, whatever it may be. Just do it. Get right talent and stuff behind it, but just, do the work, put it in, and get this going. Because I feel like we've seen that people will latch on to that. And I feel like there's people that will choose to, hey, I don't want connected things. I don't want to have to see everything. I just want a good, solid adventure. If Constantine 2 is one of those things, great. I think there's an audience in both the most geekiest people in the world and the general audience. There is a Venn diagram where the circles line up to people that just want, and I've talked about this with people that like, they love this stuff. It's like, I just want to film by itself again. I would just love to not have it connected to anything, just a film. Do that. Tap in that. If you want to make that your more lower budget films, that's fine. Like a Joker, that's fine. Do that. Whatever it may be, just keep to it. Put that out there. Don't make Batman, don't have Joker 2 come out and then Reeves Batman be the end of it. No, keep going, keep pushing. I know you want to do your DCU potentially, but it's also still like that Elseworld will be credited to you if it goes off good, right? So that's one. My last 2, this one is a bigger overall one. The last one for me is just a full on, oh, there you go. I just made a comment of what my ad breaks are. So there you go. So that's for my podcast editing. My last 2, this one I think is a full on overall. My second one is a full personal, just biased, what I want. This one, directors. Go after, and I'm not saying they're not talented, not saying they can't do great things, but go after established very talented, skilled directors. I don't want this is gonna happen sometimes, but I want the more MCU route where it is a Sam Raimi, a Ryan Coogler, where they come in and they do know some stuff, but you get a feel. The second Sam Raimi was announced for Doctor Strange, we knew, hey, this is what it's gonna be like. It's gonna feel like this, or we're hoping, right? And it did, in my opinion. But we're hoping it's gonna have these Raimiism stuff like that. Same thing, Coogler to me. I had seen Creed, seen Fruitvale Station. I look and I go, okay, no, I can see the Coogler in here, stuff like that. So for me, it's just, excuse me. For me, it's, uh, you want to get people that when you get Justice League Dark, or when you get Deathstroke, like I was saying with Ben Affleck, when you get Superman, when they're announced right away, you know, hey, I know their style, I know what they feel like, I know what they can do, what their tricks are, or I have some established work to go back and watch. I don't want this guy's directed one episode of TV show and 3 music videos. And I all respect to those people because you got to start somewhere. And if somebody wants to do that, hopefully one day, I would love it if you do that and you get this big film, right? But at the same time, we know lots of those times that just happens because they want someone to boss around, especially the MCU. And people are like, oh, it's not boss around, it's collaborative. Of course, yes. But it is more so, hey, we need someone to do this. Or sometimes it's like the Blade situation where we just need someone to get this fucking job done. Let's get someone in here, and fucking Ali's going to be really more the director and stuff like that, right? So for me, I want even Favreau, like I want people that have an established thumbprint in this community, whoever it may be, that when they're announced, like Guillermo, like Affleck, like Darrison, like a Mangold, like a Muschietti, that hey, we know what's gonna happen. And I'm not saying every single film has to be like that. Like the Blue Beetle director, relatively new director, but I would like that to be more of the case, even if it's like someone upcoming, like somebody again, not just a couple music videos in, because I get that's a big break, but to me that just gets a sense of, oh, this is just really James Gunn directing this, and there's not going to be much style, because I feel like that just kind of happens, and that's happened with some of the MCU ones. Like I feel like with Black Widow, where it's just like we just need someone to shoot this. I don't see any style in that one, you know, and it helps that you have other people help with that, like the stunt team and everything, but I do want some directors that, hey, no, I want to do this, or I want to have my team do this. Like I want to have you can look at this, and we were talking about Tarantino earlier with Essos, right? Every Tarantino film you can look at, you go, that's a Tarantino film. I think you can do that with Spielberg. You can do that with JJ. You can do that with Martin Scorsese. You can do that with Kathleen Bigelow. You know, you can do that with you can definitely do that with Chloe Zhao. And that's where, whatever it may be, I'm not the biggest fan of Eternals, but I respect them for doing that because that feels like Chloe Zhao. Like, if you've not seen her movies before, feels like Chloe Zhao. That's why I don't really like it, because I'm not a big fan of her movies. We're going to talk about that later on with Eternals. I just want that for the majority. Not everyone, I get it. Get an up-and-comer every once in a while. Sure, great. And I'm not saying, oh, I have to know them personally. They have to be A-list. No. Like, Ryan Coogler to me is the best example of did Creed and Fruitvale Station, but not the biggest name, and hadn't done the biggest projects. Creed was big, but still smaller. That's fine. I just don't want like I said, the Jimmy Two Shoes who like directed a couple music videos and a few TV episodes and that's it. Or like the people that did Captain Marvel, right? Where it's just, you know, they did a film there, they had them there. Like it's you would think it's kind of weird, right? That if you directed Captain Marvel, that made $1 billion, one of the biggest MCU movies. The movie made $1 billion. BVS didn't make $1 billion. Captain Marvel did. You think you'd want them back, right? The fact that they didn't, to me, shows you they're not really that. They weren't a part of the system too much. They were there as more hired guns, which, you know, Tarantino's talked about. And that is a true thing. There's many things like Disney does that too, right? With fucking Rogue One. We've talked many times of guy directs a film. They don't like it. He agrees to play ball. He sits down in a chair. This is like this is the smaller version, but pretty much he sits down in a chair and set, watches another guy direct his movie pretty much. Watches him with some guy fuck his wife. And it's just like he played ball, made a lot of money, and he's good thing he has a film coming out next year, and I'm excited for him because that Godzilla film was fun, and it was a good one at least. And I thought that that's just a shitty thing to happen, right? And you don't want that. So creatives in there. Other thing is, me personally, the biggest want, the Bat Family. The Bat Family is what I want the most. I want, and this is why I've said this many times on Broken Record, I wanted the older Batman. I would love it in this universe if we get again where Pattinson is a young year 2, year 3 Batman. We get a Batman that is similar to Affleck's, maybe not done everything. I would like a Batman where he's on his own. We're meeting Batman just as he's about to get his first Robin. That would be great. Or maybe he's had a Robin. I don't really want that because I'd like to see the connection between Batman and Robin, Dick, Richard to Bruce. And I think that's the perfect way too. If you were to go, okay, we're gonna make a solo Batman film at the same time passing. What do we do? Well, if it's him just solo and it's more about him being in love with Selina and this venture of like saving Gotham, what haven't we done in a while? What could we do? Well, let's make it a two-hander of Batman and Robin. That relationship. The fact that they've never the show like on comic books, of course, but the show has done it the best as far as Batman animated series, like really diving deep into adopting someone that has been through a similar trauma and then expressing what you do and bringing that in the world. Like imagine that there's enough great child actors in the world, teen actors to show that, where imagine this guy adopts you. And I think it would be great from Robin's point of view or Dick's point of view, if just this guy adopts you and you're very unsure, like he has no interest in kids, there's no wife, and just like you slowly peel it back and you find out what he is. And then there's that push and pull. Do you train him or not? You are training him. Like some of the stuff in Batman Forever, I really like the dynamic. It's very rushed, but some of that stuff of when he first finds out and they have their first talk about like, you're going to go, if you kill someone, you're going to go out again and again, you're going to keep hurting people, and it's never going to make the pain feel better. Get a whole movie of us seeing a bond between Bruce and Robin and Bruce and Dick, and that'd be great for a different one. So it's time. After playing Gotham Knights, just like, it's fucking time now. It's time to get a Dick. Time to get a Babs. It's time to get Jason. It's time to get Damian. It's time to get them all. It's one of the best things going for Batman, and that it's something fresh. That's why when people always go, oh, another Batman film, we haven't even scratched the fucking surface on his villains, on his side characters, on his love interests. There's so much that hasn't been done. Like even Vicky Vale. Vicky Vale hasn't even come back in a live action film since '89, right? So it's like, it's crazy, the stuff. And the Bat family to me that's how you can make your Batman different in the DC. And then you can start doing it to Teen Titans. You can introduce Red Hood. You can get all these avenues. You can get to Batgirl and stuff like that, right? Start with that. Do the Bat family. That's my biggest want out of all this. And I feel like that helps with James Gunn too, because he's into a big family aspect. He likes that dynamic Guardians and Suicide Squad. Do that. I don't think I'd want to jump to like Gotham Knights where it's Batman and they're established. You could, if it was, hey Travis, you're going to get no Bat family or that already established. Sure, tell the story in the past, but I would love the starting out and start putting those, seeds in. So those are my do's and don'ts. Don't do too much too fast. Give me the Bat family. Great directors that have like a tone, a vision, a vibe. Elseworlds. And if you're rebooting it, reboot the whole fucking thing. Get rid of them all. Unless you're doing multiverse stuff later on, get rid of them all. So we're going to take our third ad break. Then we're getting into some Marvel news. This took longer than I thought, but you know what? That's okay. So I've been wanting to get some thoughts out there. It's the last Travis told you of the year. So we'll take an ad break and we'll be right back. And we're back. So, hang on. Oh, good neck crack. And we're back. So, Captain America 4, the New World Order for life. Pickens, that one's for you. God. Captain America 4. Captain America New World Order. There's tons of stuff going, and this has been like the past 2 weeks. If you can tell, they're casting, storyboarding, stuff like that, scripting, writing, everything. It's moving along, right? And we started where it was just like, I just want to know who the villain was, the story was, stuff like that. Back to Comic-Con, it's like, okay, the leader's in it. Interesting choice, but okay. That's that. Like, I didn't see that coming, but that's fun. We got our villain, we got an idea. And I'm like, okay, Cap versus the leader. That's an interesting story. Sam's Cap versus the leader. Big villain, can use telekinesis, hulking, like a Hulk-like figure. Okay, let's see how this plays out. And then when She-Hulk came out, there was like all these rumors like, well, it's going to be a lot of Hulk-oriented things. You could maybe see She-Hulk in there. You could see Hulk in there and stuff like that. And then there was rumor, well, it got confirmed of Ford being Thunderbolt Ross. It's like, well, Thunderbolt Ross is also in this. It's like, okay, sure. I didn't know if we need this character. Clearly they had plans for him because they recast and the rumor is Red Hulk and stuff. So, okay, sure. And now there's been back and forth of what's going to happen, but the island that they were fighting on Internals, I can't remember what the name is, but there's Genosha. That one I know of. Like, if people don't know what Genosha is, at one point in the X-Men Genosha is supposed to be like a mutant, like sacred land, like that. They get that. That's their property and stuff like that, right? They've had lots of bad things done to them, lots of crimes to them. Not trying to be insensitive, but it's much like some things have happened with the Native American people, and there's some land that is sovereign to them. You cannot touch it. It is theirs. Don't even think about it, right? The government has given it to them. That's what Genosha is for mutants. But then there's been some pushback from Scooper Wars is big time right now. Feels saying, well, this is true, but this isn't. No, I've heard this is true. It's like Timitsu or Timitsu. I don't know. I can't remember if that is a Marvel thing. I think it is, but it's not ringing a bell. So I'm not sure if it's that or they changed the name. Someone in the chat can let me know. But that planet where this celestial got frozen, so I don't know if it's gonna melt or just gonna stay frozen in the sky, whatever the deal is. That island is gonna maybe be something to do with that, and people have talked about this where it is a true thing. The Eternals, eventually got reworked to being a semi-origin of the mutants and the mutant gene. Apparently, I don't know if it would come from the Celestial, which that's what I'm assuming because it's on this island. It's above it. And this island apparently will have adamantium on it, which obviously is a big deal, right? Because adamantium is, Wolverine, Weapon X, all these things. And that's leading into mutant stuff, leading to X-Men stuff. And the idea is that it's going to be Ross, Leader, Val, and two other villains fighting over adamantium because they can't get their hands on vibranium. So let's get their hands on something that could be as powerful, if not more powerful than vibranium, right? And then also too in the middle, we'd heard this before, which it never got clarified of Moon Knight and Cap were going to do something together. The rumors were either Moon Knight was going to be in Cap 4 or Cap was going to be in Moon Knight Season 2. And you got the whole tie at the veterans things. They probably make sure they know each other. So there's a few things. The easy thing of this is the adamantium thing. I guess it's not easy. We know we got Wolverine coming Deadpool 3. We're going to talk about that. That really makes me question like what they're going to do with the 616 Wolverine, right? Because if they're just discovering adamantium now for the first time, I think that would imply that Wolverine has not been here the whole time, or mutants have been here the whole time, right? So you're not going to get like James Howlett knew Steve Rogers in World War II. No. And that's just interesting. Like, do you have a guy that has a power and they get adamantium on him like 2026 and he's not like everlasting? I don't know. I know some people say, oh, you might just do like a full reboot after Secret Wars and start over. I don't think that's happening. I think they'll keep most of the continuity. They'll be like Days of Future Past changes maybe, but most of the continuity will be the same. So I find that very interesting that, and I don't know, like, yeah, I guess Eternals happen present day, that fight, right? Like maybe there's something else, a Celestial left in the past that was adamantium. They got it and now they're finding it again, I guess. But to me, that would imply, hey, we might not get the Wolverine we kind of know, right? And I guess technically, with James's powers, Logan's powers, he could have the power. He's been around for decades. It's just he didn't have the adamantium, right? So you could do that. So it's just like the adamantium filled Wolverine. That's one. The second part of it is that it's tough, right? Because with MCU, they have a great track record, but at the same time, I think they've shown that. I was trying to find. There we go. Excuse me. I don't know where to go with this. My worry is that Sam's gonna get pushed back. Let's say all this was true. Moon Knight's in here. She-Hulk. The Leader. Thunderbolt Ross. And I can't remember. Oh, the rumor was too that apparently the top choice for the villain is Jessica Chastain. And for the life of me, I gotta look through the GUA chat. It's not popping up of who the villain was, and I'm forgetting who Chastain was rumored to play and stuff. Here we go. I found it right now. Where was it? Thundra. Okay, so that's who was rumored of Chastain. If you look at Thundra, like, it looks like it could be Chastain. Sure, you could just dye any actress's hair, but like you got the red hair right away, easy step, right? That's my biggest worry, and it sometimes can happen, right? Because I feel, and some people may not agree. Look at Civil War, and Fanboy Cloud, give him credit. He said that where it looks like it could be a Civil War point 2, and if you had all those things, it could be. I think Civil War 2 for Tony and Steve, yes, it's kind of Avengers 2.5, but I still feel like it is a Steve Rogers story at its core. I feel like there's an arc there, there's a change. it's doesn't feel like a waste for obviously the Avengers, but for him, it feels like he changes, right? That's what I at least need here. I don't need it to be, even though I like it more than people, I don't need it to be Captain Marvel, which is just like a setup for, like it does do care, but more of like scrolls and just this is who she is quickly, and then we're moving on, right? Maybe not so much that one, but I feel like there's a little bit of that. Iron Man 2 being another one, Age of Ultron. I don't want to be one of these films, and especially look at Age of Ultron. That's a fucking Avengers film, and I think they spent more time making sure that's a setup film. That should not be the case with Avengers 2. Avengers should not be a setup film. And to me, I don't want Sam to get lost in the shuffle. I don't want a Civil War 2 to happen at the cost of him not getting a character arc. I'm going to trust them and hope, it's some of the same writers from the show. I'm going to trust them and hope that it does happen and they're going to bring it over. And there is a character arc that is sufficient, not just like a checkbox. Oh, he changed a little and we move forward, because to me, Steve Rogers, me saying he changed, not just, he changed, he turned against the government. You see the push and pull, you see the struggle with Tony, you see the stuff with Peggy, the Sharon stuff later on, but you see from all sides with Zemo, Betty, even T'Challa of affecting this character. Also affects Downey too, so of course, kind of a two-hander, but still with Cap, it's Captain America, I got a story arc there. I want them to be the same case here. And when I just hear Red Hulk, Val, the leader, Moon Knight, She-Hulk, Adamantium, tying to the Eternals, Thundra, and then there's another villain we don't know about. It's just like, it feels like a lot, and I love comic book stuff. I love, the airport scene. Some people don't like it. I love it. That's like, let's just have fun. I know people, they're pulling their punches, not a serious fight. Yeah, why would they be not pulling their punches? They're friends. They want to win the fight. They don't want to kill anybody, so to me, and even then, it's just like, it's comic book stuff. I look at it, go, I'm just here to have a fun time. Sometimes I of course want great stories, great acting, but if the airport fight scene is my kids playing the action figures moment, great, and I loved it, always will love it. So if we get that in Civil War 2, if we get that in Cat 4, great. Just make sure there is a story there, and I'm gonna trust them, but it's definitely gonna be like a lingering, okay, until I see this play out. It's the same thing we said, that right, when luckily that didn't happen for us that like She-Hulk, but there was rumors, and it's funny that there was lots of reshoots with that show, right? There was rumors they were getting into Bruce's backstory, some more stuff maybe Thunderbolt Raw, stuff with his dad, and that didn't happen. That could be rumors, or that could be stuff that they did scrap, because there was rumors, right? Wasn't the pilot supposed to be deeper in the season? Someone will know. So to me, like, all those rumors of Hulk maybe having such a bigger role, we were worried that it's not. What if it's not her show, or it doesn't feel like her show? And it did, so that was good. Same thing here with Cap. I think you don't want to push over him. You don't want to, and you don't want to do the same thing that we talk about. You want the themes of Falcon Winter Soldier to be there. I don't think it's just be he made that speech and racism went away. No, there's going to be tons. You think just because Obama became president, people stop being racist? No. There should always be a theme of you're not good enough to be Captain America. You're not a super, hero program. You're not white. You can't represent this country. I think that should still carry forward, but it should not just be a rehash of Falcon Winter Soldier, because then it's like, well, just make that a movie. You should have just done that. So that's my only thing. I hope that it is servicing the character and stuff like that, right? So we'll see. Then speaking of, let's start with Eternals 2. Well, I'll take an ad break, then we'll start with Eternals 2. So there's been a few more things. I said this on Marvel Alliance. Check out. I got to return last week. Finally, that was great. That I could see them not doing Eternals 2. Right now, signs are still pointing to they are. I just thought if we are in these rumors of, hey, where they're pushing projects back and they want to take their time, to me, Eternals is one you go, let's just pluck that out and worry about that another time, right? Critically, didn't do the greatest box office wise. It did good for, like, obviously it released that pandemic window, so I think it did like serviceable, but it wasn't one of the bigger films I think of the pandemic. I think it's in the top 10, so that's a tough gauge, right? Fan wise, I feel like it's a mix, and I feel like it's more of a mix than when people say, "Oh, Phase 4 is a mix." I feel like people say it, but then people say, "Oh, I love this in Phase 4. I love this in Phase 4." Eternals, like, there's many people I feel like I know, general audience and Twitter bubble of like, yeah, it's my last MCU film, like myself, right? And there's some people that love it, so it's a big mix, and that's part to do with some of the rumor is Chloe Zhao's not returning and stuff. So I think that's maybe the middle ground where it's, hey, we do want to do Eternals, we want to carry on with this, but at the same time, this style maybe didn't work for what we want to do here, and maybe it's best to part ways. And some people are going to be bummed by that, and I get that because they might have loved Eternals. I'm personally happy. It's the same way as Scott Derrickson when he parted away from Doctor Strange, got Sam Raimi. I like Derrickson. I love Sinister. I liked Black Phone, but I was happy because I thought Strange was it was good. It was fine. I think I gave like it's a classic 7 out of 10, something like that, right? Um, Raimi came in, style, loved it. So and it's tough because I feel like with Eternals we'll get more of a almost as some on the DC segment, more of a music video. You're gonna shoot this. We need it to look like this, feel like this, etc. Go because I feel like that's with Eternals 1 with Chloe Zhao is she did do her style. She did was like Raimi and got to do what she did, and I think that's why it didn't do the greatest. It doesn't have the greatest reception, because I don't think Chloe Zhao's style is for the mainstream, in my opinion. It's not even for me. So that's the rumor. And then the other rumor is that it's going to be focused on the Judgment Day plot. Now, I had to look this up because I've still not read this. I just knew they did this event, and I was like, I'm not going to read this. I don't have that much. Maybe I'll read it one day, but I don't have that much interest in the Eternals. So when did it come out? I think it was just last year, wasn't it? I feel like they announced it. Was it last year? Did it go into this year? But it was an event. No, it was this year. It just ended in November. So it is an event with Avengers, X-Men, and Eternals. And I'm going to read you the little synopsis. I'm going to talk about how I don't know. Again, like everything else, they'll adapt it. But with that X-Men, it's like, I've heard the story features many big time mutants, and people are like, how are you going to do a story without it? Well, at one point they're going to do the Civil War story without Spider-Man, right? So they'll find a way. But the X-Men have achieved immortality, and the mutants have taken their place as the dominant species on the planet. The Eternals have discovered a long hidden knowledge of their species, including devastating truth about mutant kind. The Avengers have come into a direct conflict with the Celestials and are currently using Fallen Celestial as their base of operations, slowly unlocking its secrets. When the Eternals bravely target the mutant nation of Krakoa, which I fucking want people that read Power of X or House of 10. That to me is one way of when they do the mutants have been here for a long time. If you go, how does it make sense? Read that. I think you could adapt that too. They have their own planet. It's like Genosha, but bigger. They have their own like land, like own place hidden away. You could literally not get in unless you're mutant. It is protected. I love Krakoa. I want them to go that route. And lots of weird fucking shit happens there. Hickman was popping off. I would love it. Like, I think that's a perfect way of like how the MCU likes to go, where let's do something different than what's been done before. Powers of 10. That is House of 10, like House of 10, House of X, however you want to say it. That is, I think, the route to go. And I've been pitching this since like early days of Marvel Alliance. We did the comic book club, not blood, no bleed on that show. And I just thought that's what you do. But anyway, so they basically turned the mutant nation of Krakoa. The Avengers tried desperately to de-escalate a potential apocalyptic war, but this is no simple conflict. The Eternals propose. The Eternals' purpose cannot be denied. Mutant's future will not be threatened. After opening battles, the new players' revelations for both sides will emerge and inhabit the Marvel Universe are judged by the greatest power they've ever come into contact with. That's where it's like, that sounds all great. And I do understand though, because things get adapted, right? But I do understand where the main crux of the story is. The Eternal and X-Men are fighting, and the X-Men and the Eternals are fighting, and the Avengers gotta stop it and break it up, and of course they get pulled into conflict, right? So in this route, let's say, and it was said that this sequel is gonna be a lot more cosmic. So you got the Avengers, they could easily be the middle guys, right? Got Eternals. Who could be that other one? I guess you could kind of cheat and maybe do like the Guardians or something, but to me, I don't know I think if they do this event, it's going to be adapted like very, very loosely, because there's two ways I guess you could go. Where one, I think it'd be loose because with Eternals 1 doing what it did, I don't see them making, oh, fucking mutants are in here and fucking. I guess you could make the mutants the Marvels, right? You could make them Carol and Kamal and stuff like that. So they could do something like that. But I don't think with how the first one was like, we're gonna make the second one this big and have the Avengers in it. Or the flip of that coin is, hey, the second one, or the first one, not everyone's favorite, didn't do the greatest, it's a mixed territory. Would people show up the first one? Let's just fucking load it up with characters. And that's what I feel like that happened with Civil War, right? That happened with Thor Ragnarok. That happens to me when they feel That to me, they did that with Captain Marvel smartly. Agent Coulson, Nick Fury. I feel like when they feel a little like lesser on a project, when they're like, "Okay, how can this go?" And Civil War, I don't feel that way because that was, I think, leading towards something. But I feel like we've seen in the past. Every time there's a project where people go, "I don't know about this," they go, "Yeah, but what if this guy was in here? What if this guy was in here? What if they were in here?" And you start to go, "Okay, I'm warming up to the idea." Same thing like Echo, right? I got no interest in Echo, but well, what if Fisk and Matt Murdock were in? It's like, all right, you got me at least intrigued. So I feel like that's what they could do with Eternals. I don't know. That plot sounds very much out there, but I really don't know. Lennox W says that's a really bad synopsis of X. That's what it is on the Marvel Wiki. Admittingly so, not read a single issue. That's why I pulled it up and everything like that, because the newer comics I feel like it's like 2020, 19 or somewhere where I really start jumping out. Let's say it's really about Iron Man. It's really about Iron Man Frankensteining a celestial that goes mad and decides to judge the Earth person by person. Eternals have to protect it and also want to kill the mutants because they are technically deviants. Okay, so again, Lennox, thank you very much. By the way, that's like a great other side because I imagine you've read it or read enough of it to know that. So I always think people in the live chat and stuff like that. So I think that the mutants thing, I think you got to cut. I think they would just take out that storyline, right? Like the way you put it that way. The Iron Man thing, that you could easily make Reed. You can make somebody like some scientists and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think that that's what you do. I don't mind like that plot of a celestial, then it goes mad and decides to judge people Earth by Earth, and the Eternals have to protect it. That works. I don't know, and Lennox let me know if it's on Earth. That's where it's a weird like, okay, it Scoopers, and I can't remember if this was again my bad. If it was from the same time or same Scooper or from different ones, but will you? Hang on, I just got to check something with Heinz because I got to see when they're going live for DCA. So check out that going live. I think I know, but anyway, sorry about that. Just GeekVerse business. If it's more about Earth and a Frankensteining, but then these rumors are also, hey, but it's going to go more cosmic. It's like, what? Maybe they're just going to take the idea of a celestial going mad, judging people, and they're stopping it. Or they just make it like, what's the guy's name? Hersham or Hersham the judge or whatever. Who knows? So, okay, that makes sense, but I think they're just going to use that judging aspect, not mutants, not honestly Tony Stark, like in the Frankensteining. I guess you could with the Celestial that's on Earth, right? They could do that and make that like Frankenstein. So, who knows what character they'd use. So I think you're going to see like a 50% version of that adapted, and then that 50% is going to get very like changed up. I like the idea of the mutants technically being deviants. That's fun, but we're far off. This sounds like this would be something down the line, but yeah. So the other time, or the other rumor is Deadpool 3. It's not even a rumor. I guess there's a rumor, and there's what Jackman said, right? So the quick thing, I think it was comic.com asked like Jackman if he's a one and done, and he's just like, oh, I take all my appearances as like a one-time thing, and I go from there. I just put my focus into what I'm doing now. To me, it was the most nice way of saying I will, in my opinion, you'll see me again and stuff like that. I think he's not saying, and I think he's true. I don't think he's lying. I think that I've said this before. I said this on Marvel Alliance that I don't think they're going to fully leave the door open. The door will be open, but I don't think it's going to be like at the end credits, fucking Xavier shows up again and it's like, we need you for the Secret Wars. Like, no, I don't think that. I just think they'll have a device where you can bring him around and stuff like that, which we're going to talk about. I just think that I think he wants to see how it goes. He works well, Feige, Reynolds, Levy, stuff like that. I don't see it being an issue. I just think that he's just want to maybe see reaction, see if he liked doing it. It could even be a thing that when the movie is done filming, he goes, I'm in. I don't need to wait till it comes out. I'm in. I just think there's going to be a grace period of, it took a lot for him to come back. I do believe him. It took a lot for him to come back and like talk himself into doing this again and like not feeling like he's screwing over the fans or mangled. Like it just felt like he finally broke down like, I only got one shot. And if he does Secret Wars, that's an even bigger step of like, okay, you're really coming back for some shit. Of course, I want it to fucking happen. Best Marvel casting there's ever been. So maybe arguably the best combo casting there's ever been. So I want it to happen, but him, I think this is him saying that he's at least talked about it, and it could even be signed. I could be wrong. Comic.com is trying to run some wonky headlines of, oh yeah, he signed on for 2. He's talking about the past. Calm down. They word it in a funny way. And then the other rumor is that, let me pull it up to get the exact wording and stuff like that. Where was it? I'll find it while I'm talking. But pretty much it's going to pick up right from Deadpool 2. I think it's from My Time to Shine again. It's going to pick up right from Deadpool 2. He's going to have Cable's device and stuff like that. And he's going to, for some reason, wants to go. Here you go. Deadpool will be a direct follow-up to Deadpool 3. Fuck, it butchered that. Deadpool 3 will be a direct follow-up to Deadpool 2. Wade, using Cable's time machine, will travel into the future to save Wolverine from dying. Logan does not know who the guy is and want him gone. Some bad English here. Not even me reading it. And want him gone, but using a time machine and changing history will get them on the TVA's radar. Bum, bum, bum. So that's where I feel... I've said this before because I'm not trying to toot my own home, but the Marvel Alliance guys, I think they're talking up a lot of, if Deadpool is recruited by Mobius to like cut down, timelines and stuff like that. To me, I was just like, that could be fun, but if you had Loki and that didn't even work out working with him, you're going to get Deadpool. I don't know. And I think this makes more sense of them being on the run from them, Deadpool fucking with time, both of them fucking with time. I wonder, it's going to be weird because he went back and he shot... Like, does he save him from the X-Men Origins point? I don't know. And I talked about this, and I think they're both on the other side, where I thought they might have Wolverine be a new Wolverine, so you don't have to be like, oh, you send him back, and he has the knowledge of Secret Wars and Deadpool 3, but he still goes to Logan. There's like a weird disconnect there, but at the same time, you want the lineage and the lore of his Wolverine, right? So it's tough. This sounds like he would just go... It says save him from dying, so... Jackman said in an interview this week, like, oh, I talked to Mangle and I said it's literally not going to be like the claws coming up and him getting out of the grave. But it's like, when else does he go get him then from dying? Like, is it in a fixture, like in a battle we've never seen before? You would assume that he knows he dies because of Logan, because of, Deadpool 2, and he goes to similar time. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. At the end of the day, I'm not one of those people that care because I can look at Logan as his own thing and it's its own separate universe and timeline and stuff like that. So if he does literally pluck him from there, I still consider him dead. And they say, oh, we're not going to mess with Logan. That could easily be lip service. But this sounds like a fun plot. I like it. I like that Jackman's all in. Like, oh, we got devices to make sure that doesn't get changed. Whatever makes him feel better. I don't really give a fuck. As long as whatever they've told him to make him feel like he's not ruining the legacy of Logan, which he's not. They're just movies. It's not that serious. Perfect. So I like these plot rumors. I like everything about it. So that works for me. Sign me up. So we're going to take our last ad break and then we'll be right back with the quick hits talking about some box office. We'll be right back. The quick hits, not much today. It's literally just box office. So the tale of two movies. What was I going to say? So Avatar, that has come back and stuff like that, so obviously it's doing well. Sorry, I was just reading some stuff about Avatar and everything like that, so oh, just weird stuff. Anyway, so Avatar 2 comes out last week. We talked about this, where it comes out, was below expectations, did very well. Did like 450 million, something like that. But the whole thing was it was expected to get $1 billion or $500 million, right? So it was like, oh, the domestic's lower, stuff like this. Well, like I said, as we're talking, it's projected right now, the Tuesday, I'm recording this at 27th, to pass $1 billion in like just over 2 weeks, 1 week, just under 2 weeks, over 1 week. To me, this puts a bet, because I never was hard on that side, because I'm not trying to like save face. I just was always curious how box office was going to do. I was more interested in that than the film. Still haven't seen it. I will see it. Still haven't seen it. But that's more curious because the film, I guess reason why I'm like, as I've said before, I'm not trying to like, I'm not going on my way to see it. I will see it in theaters, because to me, I know there's people I've talked to said, oh, they'll wait for home. That for me, I don't understand, because it's like the idea of Avatar and it really enjoying it is on the big screen. And it's like, that's kind of, I don't know. That's kind of like, well, you could get a blowjob or you could get a video of you getting a blowjob. What would you like? It's like, yeah, well, I'd rather take the actual blowjob. Like the video is great and all, but like this is the way to, it's nice to relive that experience, but you want the actual experience. And I feel most people go, hey, um, what was I gonna say? If you don't, what was I gonna say? People have said if you like how you feel with the first one, you're gonna be able to feel with this one. So that's why I haven't seen it. But I am, and I know it's weird too. And this is where I've talked about this with the GA people. It feels like it's the most in the bubble because I know so many people. Like for example, like in my circles, right? Like obviously the GeekVerse crew saw it, they reviewed it. Go check out the review. Biggest episode of this month. But like Chris and Brent from our alliance hasn't seen it. Joe hasn't seen it. Clay hasn't seen it. I don't think Heinz has seen it. I know Katie and Mark have seen it, and I guess Sarah did, but the majority of the podcast network not seen it. And we're people that consider geeks and nerds, and we saw these things, haven't seen it. Doesn't matter because people are seeing it or they're seeing it again and stuff like that. This shows again, even Twitter. There's so many people because I was somebody I said I just don't know. It's been so long, and you don't hear people talk about Avatar. But this is where I'll officially, and not that I doubted it, but any question, I have no question anymore about 3 and 4. To me, this is a thing where. And we'll have to see, but I feel like with this number, with being, and again, it's a lot to do with the international, but the international loves it. Even yesterday, it was something like, oh, in Italy, it's doing, it was like, it came out last week, and then this week it did like 250% more than opening weekend, So it's like, even if it's not us, even if it's not domestically, and that's where I live, right? Because there's so many times I talk about domestic box office because I go, I can gauge that. I can gauge what Canadians and Americans are thinking because, I talk to them enough, know the culture, stuff like that. And I think the North American box office is like 260, 270 somewhere there. Still really good, like with everything else, but it's not like the bread and butter. It's not like Black Panther from 2018. And saying the last thing, international is huge for it, right? But that shows that doesn't matter. It's gonna make a bunch of money there. You got the China stuff, but even here it shows, okay, there's a fan base. I'm not going to question in the future, like, what's it going to do? Even if this does $1 billion and it's declining results, I feel it's always going to make a profit. I know Cameron says it has to be like the third biggest movie in the world. I don't believe that. I think he's just blowing that up, but I think it's always going to make a profit. A lot of those other films are already filmed, and I think that's what they spent the budget on. So this has proven that, that joke of, hey, don't, what was I going to say? Don't bet against James Cameron. It is that, it is that thing where the guy has track record, like fucking Titanic, 10 years, Avatar, 10, 13 years, $1 billion. Like the fucking guy got the formula, whatever it is for. And I think we said this before, why it's in China and other places. It's like, cause I feel like it's a safe and familiar type of story. And it's one of these things where it doesn't take you like it doesn't matter if you're left or right, doesn't matter what sexual orientation you are, like it usually plays it safe most of the time and everything. So I feel like the rest of them are going to do that, and it's going to be successful. And again, it's the same thing. The projections at one point where it had a 58% drop, it really only had a 52% drop. So all these stats are just like, it's weird because last week it was below expectations, but now this week it was above. And now it's going to see, because even some people have said this, that, hey, around New Year's things slow down because people go back to work, all this stuff. That's what I've said before, where I said it would make $1 billion. And I never said that it was going to bomb. Like some people said, some people say, oh, well, after it's been a zeitgeist for so many years that it's dead in the water. I never thought that. I thought, I don't know how well it's going to do. I've always said it was never going to do Avatar 1 numbers. And that to me is like, I don't think it's a top 3 biggest movie. I think I placed it being like 7, 8 or 7 for the top 10. So far, Travis told he's going to hit $1 billion. That's right. I did not tell he's going to hit it this fast, so it would take longer. I have told you, keep saying this on broken record, the stories are in week 3 and 4, because that's what happened with Avatar to CK. Where was that decline? But at the same time, it's tough because that's on the domestic again. The foreign, that's tough for me to gauge because, I've been on Vodka Stream and Stephen Colbert has brought this up many times, that when they re-released it in China, it made like an additional 200 million, not like a 20 million, like 200 million. It was like years later. So that's where it's the thing of, for us, and this is where I'm talking about in domestic for us, the first one, it had that, had the weekend, came out, dropped a little, and then it just stayed. I'm talking just purely domestic, its story, what's going to happen week 3 or 4. But at the same time, people go again, hey, shows that the domestic box office isn't everything. And that's gonna be really interesting going forward for studios that have started to cut away from like China and stuff like that because they want to have diversity or the gay community represented and stuff like that. Is old Hollywood gonna creep in and they go, oh, we don't really want a main gay superhero, so let's not have that so we can release that in China and stuff like that, or other countries, right? So it's tough, but when you see these numbers and people might get that idea again of, hey, we should do that again. We could release films like that. So I don't know. So we'll have to see. I don't know. It's very interesting to watch. I love seeing this. I will see it. I definitely will see it in the theaters at some point. And the other film I will see in theaters if I get a chance is Babylon. Side of the other coin, right? Babylon came out for Christmas weekend for 4.5 weekend. 4.5. I get it. People are gonna say, "Hey, like it's not a blockbuster. It's not expected to do that. It's not expected to do that." But for that low, for a guy that Margot Robbie, Brad Pitt directed Whiplash, La La Land, stuff like that, to be that low, there's a whole variety of things going on, which I haven't seen it yet because again, I wanted to. Family plans got in the way. That's point number one. I think studios, it depends the movie because we'll see Puss in Boots at like 12 million this weekend. But I think unless you're like an Avatar or something like that, releasing around Christmas and in the holidays, it's seemingly not a good idea anymore. It's not we'll see what happens the next few weeks, but it's almost one of those that people get busy and they just forget about it. And maybe it's just the Avatar effect. I don't know. But I think it's not what it once was, and they should probably release some of these films a little earlier if they want a chance. So we'll see. I want to see in theaters. That's the plan. It's 3 hours, but my worry is because it's doing so bad, it's gonna get cut. I've seen other than Whiplash, I've seen every Chazelle film in theaters. He's one of my favorites. I don't know if he's in the top 10 right now, but I put him pretty close. I love his work, so I want to see it in theaters, but I worry it's going to be on VOD like real soon and they're going to pull it. But hopefully, because there's not much out, it will stick around. My plan is late this week or early next week, but this week's tough because I got plans and stuff after my lazy days. And even then, it's just more so like I'm having a good time spending time with family, right? And then if it's like, hey, me and Emily have time off together, that's usually rare. So for me, I'm going to go see a 3-hour film without you. It's like, I don't want to do that. And me and her want to see it together, but just doesn't line up with sitters and stuff. So that's where, okay, figure it out. But 4.5. Oh, and I don't know if it's like the same thing where I don't know what's happening. There was this whole narrative of, people saying, celebrating it because they didn't like Babylon, or some people going like, you shouldn't celebrate it because this is the original film and you're celebrating box office, go like to shit for it. I'm on that side of like, why are you celebrating it being bad? I understand from me more like a franchise perspective of like, if I don't want like Morbius 2, it's like, yeah, cool. Like I'm not celebrating it, but I'm like, okay, I don't need a sequel. So it's like, cool, you shit the bed like we thought you would. Hopefully Sony will just keep working with MCU because I don't like their solo stuff. So there's that. But I'm not celebrating original films like that unless there's something very offensive about it, which that's been the thing. It's raw and Rotten Mails. The audience score that's verified is Rotten as well. This just makes me more curious to see this movie because it's just like, what's the thing that has just made people go against Babylon this much? And then the third thing that people are talking about, which it's like, I don't know how to feel on this because it's tough, right? Because it feels like you feel like to this argument, and the argument is Margot Robbie not a movie star? Now that might sound weird, right? But the reason I don't like talking or leaning into this argument, because there's just a bunch of sexist people that go, oh well, she's a woman, not a movie star yet, should just be in the female sex pot role like Wolf of Wall Street, right? And that's where you don't want to agree with those people that are assholes saying that. On a just single-minded point of view, for me, it is tough and it is strange because people go like, why is the blame put on her? It's like, well, she's in the poster, seems like she's the main star. Pitt has had success before, like Bullet Train success this year. The other guys newer and stuff like that. Giselle's opened films before and done well. So people have had that thing of, and like there, I can't remember what it was, some thread of examples of Robbie's movies that have opened with her as the lead and it just hasn't hit. And I will say this, that I know there's tons of stuff, right, with Birds of Prey as far as, was it Suicide Squad, the quality of that turned people off? Was it being rated R and it cut the female audience off? Was it a terrible title and bad trailers? I thought the trailer was great. whatever it was. But then there was also this argument of, was it Margot Robbie, and like, was she not a star? And I didn't know at that point. And Suicide Squad, same thing. It's like you can't blame it on that because that was max and rated R. But still, there's other films that like did a little bit better around that time with smaller casts, I'd say, and stuff like that. It's just not smaller cast, but it's just like, to me, it's just it's curious that I was always shocked that Birds of Prey did what it did, and the fact that we talk about it made money, but the fact that just that's what it made, that was its cap. I was always surprised like that was it for it. Like that's what it made with Margot and a character that everyone really loved. And I don't want to subscribe to that theory yet because to me, this is when we're going to return this conversation. 4.5 not good. 80 million budget, and I think it was Variety report needed 250 to make it back. And honestly, I could believe that because I felt like I saw previews for this movie all the time. Every movie I went to, YouTube, when I was watching commercials, I saw it everywhere. Where at least the targeting, maybe the new that I liked, it was targeting hitting me everywhere. A 250, this is making 250. It's not gonna make a profit. And then there's an argument again of people saying, can it still get nominated for Oscars, stuff like that. Then you're gonna get that big argument of, this film that bombs and stuff like that. This is what's wrong with the Oscars. People are nominating films that no one even cares or watches. Who knows? But maybe in the later on in the Oscar run, he'll get more plays. But the fact 4.5 is not good. But when we will return to the Margot conversation, to me, is with Barbie, because she is front and center on that. Yes, it's Barbie, it's a brand, but still, you could say Birds of Prey was a brand. Other things were brand. I don't know if there's any other brands, like just Tarzan, but that's not. She wasn't. It was called Tarzan. It wasn't Tarzan and Jane and stuff. So, but as far as her leading movies, in the drama ones, right? What was the other one? Oh, Amsterdam this year. But it's like still Bale was leading that, and you thought that was going to do good. I don't know. I think it's just a bad string of luck for the box office with her. Barbie to me is the test. I think Barbie is going to, I'm not trying to beat JFK, but Barbie will beat Oppenheimer and bring success to her career once again. But I think that Barbie is, to me, a surefire hit. If Barbie stumbles and doesn't do well and is not a big hit, then I will say, you know what? Maybe Robbie's not the star that we all thought she's going to be. Maybe it is just a better supporting actress as far as in a collaborative effort. And that's the thing with Amsterdam. Had Taylor Swift, Christian Bale, Anna Taylor-Joy, like a bunch of people that were in the poster and stuff like that, or trailers and everything, right? So we will see, but that is everything for Travis Told You. Presumably the last Travis Told You of the year. I'll be back later on this week with the geeks to be having some fun talking about games next year and the last GeekVerse podcast, our top 5 shows of the year. We'll talk about the Marvel draft. We have the results and stuff like that. So promise when you hear from me next, it will not be boring. A big thank you to everyone that tuned this episode live or after the fact. Really appreciate you. Hope you have a good, happy, New Year's Eve, whatever it is. Stay safe out there. Thank you very much. See ya.